My name is Ahmed Habab, and I had the pleasure over the summer to work with Muhammad Kazbour, Dr. Suleiman, and Dr. Smutzer from the University of Detroit Mercy School of Dentistry. Our project was to write a systematic review on the impact of smoking on oxidative status of smokers on periodontal disease. There is a lot of literature that covers the impact of smoking on periodontitis. However, we wanted to compile all this literature into a systematic review, and we started by asking the question on whether in patients with periodontal disease, does tobacco smoke increase oxidative stress in the oral cavity? To begin, we first need to have some information on the background of periodontal disease. Periodontal disease is a progressive disease that affects 20 to 50% of the world's population. It causes inflammatory damage in hard and soft tissues and is the primary cause of tooth loss. As you can see in the image right here, the progression of gum disease starts with healthy gums, gingivitis, then periodontitis, all the way to advanced periodontitis. I want to draw your attention to the fact that as the disease progresses, there is an increase in pocket depth as well as bone loss with the advance of the disease. In regard to our chosen papers, there were 5 parameters that were evaluated, of which include plaque index, probing depth, clinical attachment loss, bleeding on probing, and gingival index. We are constantly subjected to oxidants from endogenous sources such as oxidative metabolism or exogenous sources such as UV radiation, smoking, pesticides, and more. However, our bodies have developed good defense mechanisms in the forms of enzymatic or scavenger antioxidants. However, an imbalance between oxidants and antioxidants results in oxidative stress, which translates into damage at the levels of lipids, proteins, and DNA. These can serve as biochemical markers and can be used to evaluate the oxidation status in specific bodily fluids. So how does smoking impact oxidative stress? First, tobacco smoke produces high levels of reactive oxidative species. Not only that, but due to the poor nutrition of smokers, the antioxidant capacity is reduced. This leads to increased plaque formation, which leads to prolonged impaired inflammatory response. That in turn also causes impaired wound healing and the progression of periodontal disease. We started our experimental design for this systematic review by searching specific terminology such as smoking and oral antioxidants and periodontitis in PubMed, TRIP, EBSCO, Wiley, and ProQuest databases. We filtered our search to publications post-2000, English only, and peer-reviewed articles. On the right, we have identified a total of 549 articles. After removing duplicates, we ended up with 461. These 461 were then screened based on title, and we ended up with 239. After reading the abstracts of the 239, we were able to remove 220 and selected 19 that were eligible for our systematic review. So far, we have preliminary information of 6 of the 19 articles. All the evaluated articles follow the same general methodology. They use similar inclusion and exclusion criteria for the chosen patient populations. Patients had to be systemically healthy, they should not have taken any anti-inflammatory or antibacterial drugs, and they should not have taken any vitamin supplements. The parameters that were evaluated can be categorized into clinical and biochemical. For clinical, they evaluated periodontal parameters such as probing depth and bone loss, as you have seen in a previous slide. The other tests were biochemical, in which they evaluated the oxidative stress in gingival crevicular fluid, saliva, or plasma. The markers that were examined were total oxidative capacity, antioxidant capacity, oxidative damage, and inflammation. Preliminary conclusions based on the 6 selected studies showed that periodontal disease is worse in smokers than non-smokers. Not only that, but another conclusion was that there is an increase in oxidation and decrease in antioxidant capacity in smokers versus non-smokers, mostly in the oral cavity rather than systemically. Lastly, pro-inflammatory markers were increased and anti-inflammatory markers were decreased in smokers versus non-smokers. Therefore, we can conclude that smoking increases oxidative stress in patients with periodontitis more than those in healthy controls. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.